Hey guys, welcome to Dirty Money, and we got Mike in the studio here today, and we have got a special guest, which is none other than John Vlay, who is the CEO of Graze Inc., and they make autonomous mowers that mow grass. So it's kind of like a robot mower that basically, it does its own thing. It mows your grass, it mows golf courses, lawns, you name it. This is a large commercial mower. Well, what do you say, Mike? Should we bring him right in?
Yeah, let's see if he's the Tesla of lawnmowers.
Well, welcome to the show, John.
Well, thank you, Ben. Mike, thank you for having me on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
So why don't you introduce to us, first of all, a little bit about the product, and then we'd also like to hear about your background as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I come from the landscape industry, over 30 years with a landscape company in Silicon Valley doing both landscape installation and landscape maintenance. So I've ran a 50 million plus landscape company. So I know what landscapers need when it comes to their equipment, and especially lawnmowers. So I've had the opportunity over the past 4 years to be the CEO of Graze. And what we're doing is we're building an electric autonomous lawnmower with a 60-inch mow deck, which will be able to mow, depending on terrain and obstacles, 2.5 to 3 acres per hour, yet small enough to fit into a conventional landscape trailer that you see on the roads going from job to job to job. So I'm really excited about what we're doing. Also, it's fully electric, which in California, Governor Newsom declared a law a couple of years ago that starting January 1st of 2024, you can no longer sell gas-powered mowers in California. So we're ahead of the curve. And not only are we going all electric, we're also bringing the autonomy piece, which helps solve a lot of problems in the landscape industry.
So people have 1 year to prepare.
Less than a year, 3 quarters.
So we'd like to hear a bit more about the mower itself and the company in just a moment. But first of all, how did you get here? Because I know you had a landscaping company and then you were able to sell that and then stepping stone into running this, I guess you would call it a startup now.
Yeah. So interestingly, I'd been with the same company for over 30 years, which is rare nowadays, but had the opportunity to grow it. When I started, it was about a $2 million company, stayed on and ultimately grew it to over $50 million. We sold it to a private equity company that did a roll up. I stayed on with them for 2 years. We were an ESOP, so employee-owned company. It took a while to take care of all the administrative, to turn that over. They also put me in charge of safety, which is great because then I had the opportunity to go to 5 different states of other companies that they had purchased. And the biggest safety concern was lawnmowers. So many people get, cut off fingers, toes. Actually, 70 people die every year from lawnmower accidents, which is ridiculous. Wow. So it gave me a chance to see mowing in Seattle, Dallas, Colorado, Northern California, Southern California. So it really gave me a sense of the different aspects in America to mow and how important mowing is all across the country. So after about 2 years from selling the company, I was able to go off on my own. I had a non-compete, so I couldn't go build another landscape company, but I was able to work with Graze to help develop what we have now, which is an electric autonomous mower.
Wow, that's really cool. So I know this is it's electric, it's autonomous, with all the kind of buzz around AI and stuff now, with ChatGPT and stuff. A lot of people are really looking into this sort of thing. I know the autonomous side of it. Is there an AI component to this mower?
Absolutely. And, talking to our engineers, artificial intelligence, same as machine learning. So it's just a way for the lawnmower through its various sensors, and we have a lot of them, to work together so that once it's on a job site and it sees a tree, it knows it's there, it's going to get smarter and smarter every time it mows that job. So now it doesn't have to go up to that tree and say, oh, there's a tree, I better slow down. It's going to know there's a tree there. It'll go up to it at speed, go around it, avoid it, continue mowing, because it's important that this autonomous mower can do everything as well or better than a manually operated mower. So the AI, the machine learning, that's all a part of the software that's going to help our hardware do what it needs to do. And ultimately, we're just making tall grass short.
So is that if the same mower comes to a job, or is it sort of connected to a collective of mowers and they all share the knowledge?
Yeah, so it is all cloud-based. So
Okay.
once you program a particular job into a Graze mower, any Graze mower can go and mow that job.
Wow.
Now, if you've got a large enough job that a 60-inch mower isn't going to, it's too small for, a 50-acre job, you can put them in tandem and they can mow almost like a flying V, where they're, all going together back and forth to go from a 60-inch swath to 120, et cetera, as wide as you need it to go.
Wow. Yeah, that's in the video, isn't it? On your site.
Yeah, we've got 3 of them following me.
Like a fleet.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, as we start to talk about the golf courses, where they've got fairways, which we'll be able to swap it out with a different reel mower blade, we can go ahead and have, 2 or 3 or 4, mowing a fairway, because during the growing season, they need to mow those 3 times a week.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And plus the average maintenance cost for a 18-hole golf course is $850,000 a year. And the majority of that is in labor. So there's a huge savings for golf courses.
Wow. So
how many golf courses are in California?
Pardon me?
Go ahead, Mike.
I said, how many golf courses are there in California?
Oh man, I don't even venture to guess, but there's even more in Florida. Florida is the golf course capital of the world.
Yeah, there's 90 where I live, just in my town in Florida.
Yeah. No, there's a lot. And a lot of them are, throughout the country, a lot of them are going out of business, one, because the labor costs are so high and water restrictions. So there's, this will help, I think, bring the viability of golf courses, back, because it's lowering cost.
Well, not only that, the labor force is less and less because of COVID. I mean, you had this massive amount of, baby boomers take early retirement and deplete our workforce. So, people mowing lawns are less and less every day. Especially being in Florida, you see the places where the lawn's overgrown, and you go, when are they going to come mow my lawn? Right.
And that's the thing is lawn just keeps growing. So it's got to be mowed, whether you got workers or not. And the thing is, even when I was running the landscape company, the most volatile aspect of your cost is labor. So you can control your material cost, your subcontractor cost, what your equipment cost is, but labor is so volatile. And it's even before the pandemic, it was tough to get laborers. You get some people who are there for 2 years, you've trained them up, and for 25 cents an hour, they'll jump to a competitor, which you can't blame them. They got to take care of themselves and their family. But labor was big before the pandemic. It's even worse now because, like you say, Mike, there's, people don't want to, go jump on a mower, when it's, hot in the summer, cold in the winter. It's so we've been dealing with this labor shortage for a long time. It's only gotten worse.
Yeah, definitely.
So one thing that was interesting, the size of this market, I think on your website, it says it's over $100 billion market, right?
Yes, it's a $129 billion market, the landscape market. And that's not even taking into effect the market for the mowers themselves. That's just the service industry, the construction industry. So it's a huge market. And I'd like to point out, not only in America, but because of the advertising we've done, TikTok, Facebook, our crowdfunding, LinkedIn, we have pre-orders from a company in Sydney, Australia that have ordered 50 of them. We have a distributor in the UK that have ordered 70 of them. So I've talked to people in South Africa, South Korea, Japan, all over Europe. So it's a worldwide product that is just waiting for us to get it out into the market.
And can we ask you a little bit about the crowdfunding, like how you actually did that and were able to get funding together for this venture?
Absolutely. So we started crowdfunding in the summer of 2019. It took us about a year on Seed Invest to raise $3.9 million. Then we went over and we did a crowdfunding on Start Engine, and it took us about 8 months to raise $5 million. And then we went on to Wax Invest, and we were closing it out at a total of 15 million, A plus round. We closed it out middle of last April, about a year ago. And in March, we had all the turmoil in the economy with inflation, with supply chain, the stock market was going crazy. So we were thinking, hey, there's no way we're going to hit 15 million. We don't know what's going to happen. But the interesting thing with crowdfunding, it's like the hockey stick. You get some money, and then the last week it goes up, and then even the last day, in the last couple hours, it just skyrockets. So not only did we hit the $15 million mark, we had a lot of investors that couldn't get in. So we took their names, we told them, thank you very much, hang on. So we actually started another round this past December. Didn't do any advertising, but open it up to those people that couldn't get in a year ago. And so now the goal is to raise another $7.5 million by April 13th. We're closing that. It's a Series B round. It closes in less than 2 weeks.
Wow.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, so the thing is that the raises, it's taken less time to raise more money, which is It's phenomenal.
And what platform is that on? Where can people,
It's on Wax Invest.
Okay. So like if someone is an accredited investor, they can go on there and invest potentially, right?
Well, they can, but they don't even have to be accredited. With crowdfunding, anybody, that there's I think a minimum of about $1,000 to invest. But we've had a VC firm invest $100,000. We had another individual that invested $200,000. The average is probably $2,000. So it ranges from the minimum up to, there is no maximum.
Wow.
Well, I guess the maximum 7.5. So
the total amount for the round, right?
But we also will be raising probably a Reg D after we close the fund for accredited investors that want to come on board. We never turn away money.
Yeah. So what let's talk a little bit about the product now, because what I was interested to see, I mean, you've got the kind of commercial grade one.
Yes.
Are there any plans in the future to do a residential home yard type mower?
So here's the thing is there's so many applications to what we're doing that, right now we started with the 60-inch, and I guess, going backwards, when I first heard about robotic mowers, it was in 2018 when I was still working for Jensen Landscape in the Bay Area. There was a sign that said, ask me about robotic mowers. So I did. And they said, these are really big in Germany and they're starting to take hold in America. So I asked them, well, where can I see one of these in operation? I said, go out to the Google campus in Mountain View. And I went out there, and even though I couldn't see it mowing, I could see where it mowed, and more importantly, where it had it mowed. So it was like a Roomba that mows lawns. So it was going in all these different directions. And right then I could tell, hey, this is great. I see the market's going there. But if somebody could invent a mower that doesn't require the guide wire to go around the perimeter, which is expensive to install and it's easily broken, can go back and forth in parallel lines like you're used to seeing, and make it large enough for commercial use, they would have something. Well, about a month later, one of my Vistage members told me about this robotic incubator in Santa Monica that was doing just that. So I was introduced to the managing partner. We talked. About a year later, I was no longer with Jensen. He called me up, said, hey, John, we really enjoyed talking with you. We'd like to interview you for the CEO position. I guess I fooled them and they hired me, and the rest is history. But in answer to your question, what I'm keeping our engineers focused on is just doing whatever a 60-inch electric mower can do, but do it autonomous and do it safely. Let's focus on that first. And after that, the world is our oyster. So ultimately, what we're building, the way I look at it, we're building an autonomous vehicle that has attachments to mow lawns. Now, the nice thing about our mower compared to some of the competition is our mow deck is out front, so we can swap out that rotary blade mow deck to a real blade mow deck, which is, like I say, is for fairways. We can put on a ball picker to pick up golf balls at a driving range. We can put on an aerator, a fertilizer, all kinds of different attachments. But the key is taking us from our current version, that's our beta model. We've tested, we've piloted it. where you've got all the information to go to our Gamma model, which is what goes to contract manufacturing and ultimately to our customers. And once we really finalize the software piece of it, we can go ahead and make a 21-inch mower, 96-inch mower. But again, right now, I want to stay 100% focused on the software for our 60, which there's a very large market for. Once we've gotten that out into the market, then it'll be much easier to make a smaller mower or a bigger mower. And not only mowers, but anywhere where you're using a manually operated vehicle with some type of attachment, whether that's picking up leaves, during the leaf drop season, whether it's parking lot sweeping, street sweeping. There's so many applications, not just lawn. But again, I'm trying to keep the focus on lawn mowing to begin with.
I see. Yeah, so it's kind of like the idea that this is, I guess you could say it's like it's a technology company or a autonomous vehicle company first and a mowing company second. So once you develop the platform, it can be used for many other applications.
Absolutely. And the nice thing, because there's so many companies that are developing autonomous vehicles, we're able to, get the benefit of that with the lithium ion battery packs, with the LiDAR, with all the sensors. And the nice thing, because we're not going over 25 miles per hour, we don't have all the stringent safety requirements of an autonomous vehicle. That said, we've got to make sure that our mower is extremely safe before I'll even put it out to any of our customers.
Wow. So yeah, so if a person does walk in front of it, it'll stop, right?
Absolutely. If it doesn't, we would have been gone a long time ago. So, and everybody can go onto our website, grazemowing.com. There's a lot of videos out there. You can go onto LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. But it will show our LiDAR, which it's like radar, but it throws out, bits of light that get reflected back, and the computer actually sees what's out there. It'll see soda cans, it'll show people walking in front. And if it does see a person walking in front, it'll stop until that person keeps walking, and then it will continue on. If it's coming up to a tree, it'll recognize it. So we're real good on the obstacle detection. What we're doing now is we're working on the software to improve the obstacle detection avoidance. So it'll go to the tree, it'll go around the tree, and this is where the machine learning comes in. That as it recognizes something that should be there, it'll go around it like it's not even there, but it won't hit it. So absolutely, it's not going to hit pedestrians, puppies, kittens, anything like that.
Oh, that's good. On the front of the mower, can you lift up the blades?
Yes. So yeah, with lawn mowers, there's really two types. One is where the mow deck goes right underneath the chassis, and that's a zero-turn mower, which makes real tight U-turns. They've got their advantages. The other type is where the mow deck is out front. And the reason we went with that, with my experience in the landscape industry, and especially it being electric, there's going to be little, if any, maintenance. Whenever I'm talking to, landscape owners that own a Tesla or an EV, they're like, yeah, I never have to take it into the shop. So really the main maintenance is going to be lifting up that mow deck to swap out the blades to make sure they're sharp and then put it down. With the mid-deck chassis, it's very difficult. You've got to get something to put it up on a ramp. You got to get underneath it. You got to take it off. So again, my whole objective is to make this as manually operated free as possible. That's why, if you'll notice too, we use wheels. These are wheels that do not require air. They're not pneumatics. So you don't have to have somebody checking the tire pressure, or possibly a lawnmower goes down because it's got a flat tire. And believe me, I've seen landscape contractors for over 30 years. Nobody really checks the tire pressure until it goes flat. So again, by not having to check it, not worrying about it, we're trying to make this as manually friendly as possible, not needing manual labor.
And how long does the battery last?
So right now we've got 40 kilowatt hours of battery, which is as much as a Tesla, or at least one of the Tesla older models. So it'll run, depending on terrain, hills, the thickness of the grass, etc., 8 to 10 hours.
Wow.
and it can be charged overnight with a 24-volt charging station. And it charges just like an EV.
So basically, a landscaping company could use it the whole day, charge it overnight, and it's ready for the next day.
Absolutely. Now, we've also done, demonstrations at airports where they've got thousands of acres that they've got to keep at a certain level, because once it gets too high, it'll attract, if it goes to flower, it'll attract birds, bees, that attracts, coyotes, wolves, et cetera. So they've got to keep it down or they'll be fined by the FAA. So in a situation like that, where they may want to be using it 24/7, and that's another thing, is we can run at night because of the LiDAR, that we can have swappable batteries. So they can run it for, 8 hours, take out the depleted batteries, put in charged batteries, run another 8 hours, again, switch it. So the mower can be going 24/7 by swapping out the batteries.
Wow.
So I'm interested in looking at it from obviously the money perspective on how the business, the investment cycle, and where you think the best opportunity is for you as a company for growth down the road, and how that can be really effective, because I see there's tremendous opportunity here when you really start to look at it. And commercial real estate right now is taking a dive. We've seen it with SVB where they're exposed. These regional banks are super exposed to commercial lending. They had about 70% of the mortgages in commercial lending, the regional banks. And
right.
So if they can cut costs by getting rid of people mowing lawns and just buy a lawnmower one time, I'm just thinking off, where do you see it going?
So as far as the business itself?
Yeah, just in general, the biggest opportunistic place for you as a company when you launch your models here, where do you see what's going to provide the best return for you guys? I mean, I can think of several opportunities, but what's like your strategy right now is the 60-inch deck. You're going to push that forward. Where's your market strategy?
Yeah, so to begin with, and as I think what's going to happen is we're raising money now because we need to go from the beta model to the gamma model. That will take us to contract manufacturing, and then it'll probably be another 6 to 12 months once we've got some of those first models out in the field, in the lab, doing bench testing, et cetera, making sure that we're modifying it for contract manufacturing. And once we do that, even once we get to making 10 a month, 20 a month, 50 a month, we're going to have less supply than the demand. So really, we're going to go towards the Smile States, California, Arizona, Texas, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, where you've got growing season all year long. So there's plenty of demand for what we're doing. So we don't have to worry about, going to the entire United States, day 1 or day 5 or 360. So, and as we're doing that, we're going to be developing the other attachments that will make the mowers more usable, like for instance, at golf courses. So they're buying it with a rotary mower. It'll be able to put on the real mower. So I think, and the $129 billion industry, again, I'm saying, let's stay focused on the 60-inch. The attachments are easy. It's just getting it out there, getting the best product out there with multiple sensors that we're using, LiDAR, cameras, GPS, and the market is huge. So I see too, from an investment standpoint, kind of one of two things. It will take off and it will grow as its own company and expand with other models, other attachments, other uses outside of landscape. Or, we get to the point where we're revenue generating, 1-2 years down the road, we're attractive to a big buyer, be it a John Deere, a Toro, an Exmark, a Honda, that, so there could be a liquidity event there. Also, having talked with a investment firm up in Canada, they were really impressed with our $15 million crowdfunding and the thousands of investors that have put in. They were talking to us about doing a pre-IPO and going IPO. But I'm like, let's hold off. I don't want to, sell too early. Let's get it to revenue. Let us get to a product, because that's where will really get a lot of money for the investors. It was when I was selling the company, you know, we were approached by a very large landscape company to buy us in 2010. Well, this was only a couple of years after the Great Recession. And I said, well, thank you for the offer, but I got to build this thing up so we'll be more valuable, which we were in 2016 when we sold. So it's important not to sell too early, you know, get as much as you can and build a great product and a great company.
That's great advice for people running startups. You know, make sure your development has ran its course. You know, you've developed as much potential as you have before you start looking for a buyer.
Absolutely.
And I have one question as well. How much is one unit going to set back, you know, whoever buys these?
Yeah. So what's interesting, when we price this out, you know, in the early days in 2019, you know, we were saying, you know, we'll sell these things for $30,000 each and $1,000 a month RAS, robotics as a service. And, you know, at the time, you know, that was reasonable. Then we go through the pandemic. We've had incredible inflation. We've had supply chain issues. Everything has gone up in cost. So right now, and the way I look at it is if we price that out at about $20,000 more than a 60-inch electric mower, which is about, you know, $37,000, $40,000, you know, I think even at the price point of $60,000 each, plus the $1,000 a month RAS, it's still going to be more economically feasible for a customer compared to a gas-powered, manually operated mower. And it pencils out. I can show that. I know that I can prove that out to, you know, any landscape CEO.
So would a combination of the electricity and the RAS $1,000 a month service, would that roughly equal the amount that they're spending on gas per month, perhaps?
So the savings, the obvious one is labor. So not only do you have the labor cost, you've got, you know, workers' compensation insurance, which is very high. You have more accidents with mowing than with anything else in landscape maintenance. So your mod rate is going to go down. So you're going to pay less in insurance every year. Electricity is a lot cheaper than gasoline. You know, be able to depreciate it over 5 years. So I've ran through all the numbers, you know, manually operated gas-powered mower versus a manually operated electric mower and our autonomous electric mower. So, and I put all these numbers together. I showed it to a very large landscape company in the US, talked to their CEO. And, you know, one thing he pointed out is, well, not only is the electricity cheaper than the gas, well, now you don't have your crew of 2 or 3 people stopping at a gas station to fill up the lawnmower. And now you got 3 guys sitting there while it's filling up. You know, so it charges overnight. You'll be able to charge it when it's sitting in the trailer just by plugging it in. So there's also labor savings on recharging it as well as the electricity. Because it's electric rather than gas, it doesn't have all the moving parts, you know, the spark plugs, the oil, all of those belts that need maintenance and repair. With electric, virtually no maintenance other than sharpening the blades.
Wow.
That's what I said.
Well, John,
well, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, thanks for coming on Dirty Money. We appreciate it. It sounds like there's some clean money here and good grass growing.
It's all clean money, and it's going to make the parks look nice and clean and nice short grass. So I would say too, just in closing, you know, anybody that's heard this that is interested, go to grazemowing.com. We're closing our Series B round April 13th. So you've got less than 2 weeks. You've got about a week, depending on when this comes out. So please look into what we're doing, follow our journey, and we'd love to have you a part of the Graze community.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, John. And you guys subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'll see you in the next video.